What's going on, guys? Daanish Azim here. So I actually have a special guest with me today here. He's actually one of my students that got started with me in the coaching and mentorship program a few months ago. His name is Josh. He's actually from Charleston, South Carolina. But Josh, I just kind of wanted you to introduce yourself, where you're from, what do you currently do for work, and kind of just tell them like a little bit background of like how you even came across me, like how we met.
I'm 23 years old. I'm originally from Massachusetts, moved to Charleston, South Carolina about a year ago. I work in property management, so this is kind of similar in that aspect. How I met you, I actually was a mutual kind of friend through us. He also works with you as well, and he introduced us, and I'm loving it.
Awesome, bro. So let's talk a little bit about the Airbnb journey. Of course, you work as a property manager. I guess my first question to you kind of just comes across like you're already working a full-time job, you work as a property manager. Like what made you number one look into like trying to get another stream of income? And like number two, why did you decide to like take the leap of faith and like start like Airbnb as a business?
I've always wanted to like own my own business and kind of do it all myself and not have to work for a corporate company or anything like that, which is what I do now, which isn't bad. But um, when I kind of started thinking about doing another job, this kind of came up. So I started thinking about it, asked around. Obviously, then I met you, and just talking to you for an hour, I realized that this is the right move for me. And it's been a great process so far.
Awesome, bro. So let's talk, right? You guys started with me around November, December time.
Yep.
Now it's March right now, so 3 or 4 months. Let's talk little bit about like your journey of Airbnb so far. We'll talk a little bit about the coaching process of everything. But do you currently operate any properties right now? And like where are you at with everything with your Airbnb business itself right now?
Yeah, we started working like end of November. We started working. I got a Chicago property within a month. I had one before Christmas time. So that was great. And then I went through a little bit of funding issues, which got situated, and it's now March, and I just got my second property in Gatlinburg, Tennessee.
So you're in, of course, Charleston, South Carolina. Your first property is in Chicago. Have you even ever been to the property? Like, tell them a little bit about that process, because most people think like you have to go to the property, set everything up. Like, tell them a little bit about that journey.
Yeah, so that was a great journey. So, with the Chicago property, that was a full turnkey. So all the furniture came in it. Everything was kind of already set up and everything like that. I just took over the lease. So I've actually never stepped foot in that Chicago property, and it's been 4 months now, and I've never stepped foot in there. And everything has gone good so far. The biggest thing is like you got to get a good cleaner, and that my cleaner takes care of pretty much everything. She buys all the supplies for it. She lets me know if any damages or anything happen, and that's kind of just constant communication between me and her. And that's pretty much the biggest part.
Yeah, 100%. So, of course, you're operating a property, never been to the property, has been operating for a few months. Talk a little bit about, I guess, like the journey, right? Most people think you need a property manager and all these things, which you don't if you know how to operate this business correctly. Talk about a little bit, I guess, your reviews, bro, because you've had maybe 10, 15, 20 guests stay so far. Like, how's your reviews looking so far on your property?
Yeah, I would say that honestly, that's a big thing on you. Honestly, like you taught me honestly everything about this whole business, and that's something like I appreciate from you. You've made it a lot easier for me and explained kind of how everything works. And
You're basically like your reviews, like how are they looking so far? You have like 15
yeah,
total, like
okay, yeah.
12, 15 reviews so far.
Yeah, so I have about 5 reviews right now, and they're all 5 stars. Everything has been great at them. I had a little bit of an issue once with one of my beds. I got a maintenance guy over there the next day. He fixed it, and it was all good. And the guest still left a 5 star review.
Nice, nice. Tell them a little bit about like your second property. So that's really new. Like it's just launching hopefully in the next week.
Yeah, so the Gatlinburg property, that was a little bit of a harder one. You actually connected me with the guy, and it was a kind of a weird deal. Sometimes obviously you got to negotiate these, and we kind of came to good terms. And I just went up there actually yesterday and checked it out. It's a beautiful property, beautiful views. It's a full turnkey. It'll be probably on the website for Wednesday, so tomorrow.
Nice. That's fire, bro. So two properties. I mean, just from those two properties, bro, in the summer, you're probably gonna pull in, I think revenue numbers, you'll probably be pulling in at least almost like 8 to 10K.
Yeah, I think
You'll
my
have a 10K business by the summertime, like
My Chicago property, I think will do about like five
I
in
think in
the
the summer,
summer.
yeah.
Yeah, five, maybe six if I get lucky. And then the Gatlinburg it's a longer season than Chicago. It's more like a 9 month season, which is awesome. And I'm hoping with that one I can average around five. which would be perfect.
Awesome, bro. I mean, now, of course, let's talk a little bit about the coaching process. Like before you got started with me, like, did you really know anything about like the Airbnb arbitrage model?
No, not at all. So I actually was looking into, and then someone kind of told me like that's not really a good money maker or anything like that because most people just run the Airbnb on their own because you put in maybe 5 hours a week of work. When I met you, we kind of just started going through everything. We talked for like an hour, I think, and you explained everything like to the T, and it's been great ever since.
For sure. So, I mean, I guess another question that I have for you, and I ask a lot of people, is like, of course, you guys started with me, you made the investment of getting started with me in the coaching program. Like, what made you not just maybe want to just figure things out on yourself? Because, like, I tell most people, like, information's out there, right? Like, you can use Google, YouTube, you can buy cheap courses. What made you not just go down that rabbit hole and try to figure it out on your own versus like why did you make the investment? It's not super cheap. What made you make the investment to like me versus just trying to figure things out yourself and do the business?
Yeah, I think you actually mentioned that when we were on the phone. You're like, listen, you could do this on your own if you want. The big thing is you're gonna make a lot of mistakes. Airbnb arbitrage, it's kind of more like you don't really want to make mistakes because then you're gonna be paying a lot of months out with no rent paid or anything like that. So you don't want mistakes. And with you, you kind of show you everything that you could go wrong, everything that is gonna go right, and you kind of help every step of the process, which is very helpful.
100%. So I guess like your whole process so far, like in the mentorship and coaching program, like working with me directly, like how would you recommend someone else to do it if they're looking to get into Airbnb? Is it something you would recommend, or would you just recommend like people should just kind of try to figure out the business on themselves?
No, I 100% would recommend to work with you. I think if you go on, I think if I went on my own, I think I would have made a lot of mistakes. I think I would have jumped into deals that maybe weren't the best deals and everything like that. And being able to reach out to you and be like, hey, what do you think of this deal? And kind of going through their DNA numbers and all of that. And you kind of giving your insight is a big help for any newcomer into this business.
Where do you kind of see yourself taking this business in the future in the next like 6, 12 months? Like what's your ideal like goal? Like where are you trying to scale this business to? And is this a business like you actually really want to scale maybe to 5, 10 properties?
I want this to eventually become my full-time job and be doing this full time. 'Cause I like the freedom.
Yeah.
But I think so. It's March now. I have two properties. I think my goal by the end of this year is to have 8 properties.
I mean, so let's talk about that process, right? Like most people think you need a lot of money to do this business. And I kind of tell people like, yes, it does require money. You can't get a property without money, but it's like you don't need to use your own money. And number two, most people don't like to start because they think they're gonna have to put in 20 hours a week or 30 hours a week. Tell them a little bit about that process as far as like the money aspect and the time aspect within this
Yeah.
business.
Yeah. So that was one of the things I think I had a lot of questions with you about at the beginning. Um, but then you kind of explained to me like the business funding aspect of things of where if you have some good credit or you can get some good funding, you can do it all in your business and get business credit cards. Like that's what I have. And I don't use my own money. I just use the business credit card, which has 0% interest for a year. So I have 1 year to pay off these properties. And to be completely honest, if you can't pay it off in 1 year, you failed.
Yeah, you probably got a
Um,
strong deal.
yeah, yeah, you got a really bad deal. So you should be able to pay them off in a year
Yep.
and then kind of keep building from there. And I just keep using the business credit card to buy new properties.
For sure. So you, of course, right now, like actively, you have one property running, and it's been running for about 3 months. Realistically, from your perspective, like how many hours of work per week do you think you're roughly actually putting in?
I would say you roughly for just the one property that I have, I probably put in 2, 3 hours a week. It's
Exactly,
not
bro.
it's really not the hardest part is finding the deals, like just doing the research and finding the deals.
Yep.
And then you're gonna have that period of when you first start it, you're gonna have that process of like a week where it's hard, or you might be working a lot of hours, but once it starts going, you're putting in 3, 4 hours a week.
100%. 100%. That's what I tell most people, dude. It's like I run 11 properties. I probably spend realistically anywhere from like 7 to 10 hours a week. And that's just replying to messages, responding to guests, dealing with some
Yeah,
fire.
and it's not like a constant, like you're working an hour, like you might work for 10 minutes and then an hour later you might work for 20 minutes. Like it's not a constant like throughout the entire, it's
So
just
you
all.
definitely think it's doable with a full-time job.
Yes, definitely.
Well, I appreciate you hopping on. Any like insight that you can give to other people that maybe are looking to start their Airbnb journey?
I would say definitely talk with Danish, or anybody. I would say learning from someone else is definitely very helpful and it will help you save yourself a lot of time from making mistakes. That is the biggest thing. And next biggest thing is pay your cleaner, because that will be the most important thing to every single Airbnb.
Yep, 100%. Well, I guess where can people find you, bro? Because I guess you don't use too much of like socials, but like where can people find you if they want to like reach out to you?
Yeah, I mean, I do have Instagram. My Instagram is Josh Boyd 20. Don't really use it that much, but you can reach out.
Sure,
I will try to get back to you if you get in touch.
for sure. Awesome, man. I appreciate you hopping on.
Yeah, thank you.